And then people came. People started helping to prepare the road for the foundation. You know, everything very new and fresh, very pioneering. Everything was sort of filled with that sense of we are part of the unknown. We are part of, and that's what Mother actually calls, I invite you to the great adventure. Come what may, embark.
I invite you to this great adventure, and in this adventure, you are not to repeat spiritually what has been done before us, because our adventure begins beyond that stage. We are for a new creation, entirely new, carrying in it all the unforeseen, all the risks, all hazards, a true adventure. Mother Mira Alfassa.
All the land which Oroville was starting to buy was very harsh, very survival level, very basic. Nothing was growing here, red desert. We had built a small hut, and it was always very tough, but full of that sense of we are part of a big adventure.
So the first work that Oroville had to do was the greening of the environment, the saving of the water table, the converting of this dry, barren, unfit for human habitation plateau into an oasis of beauty.
In the summer there would be sandstorms, and as there were no trees, nothing. And it was actually very difficult to grow food. So they slowly went into tree planting, and through trial and error they found species that would grow in this climate, that didn't need much water, that would give shade. And it was important to create a proper environment.
So I remember this land. It was terrible, there wasn't a tree on it, where all these trees were planted by a friend of mine named Jaap.
And then the mother said, I would like you to build a proper house to show to the world that we are here for good. It served as a central point. It was like town hall. And then more people moved around there. And then we met on a Friday evening in the community, and they said, now what name shall we give? This house can be called Oresson's home, but what is the name of the community? There was a photo exhibition of mothers doing these mudras out from the Bharatanatyam. And I was very impressed with one called Certitude. And I said, well, I had an intuition, I think it should be called Certitude. And Piero was there. And he said, not connecting, he said, no. I have a much better name. It is called Assurance. And I said, but why? And then he said, I went to a photo exhibition, and there was a particular mudra which struck me. And I said, that is the name for this community. And I looked at the French translation. He had the same photo, the same mudra, and he picked the French title, and I picked the English title, totally independent. So somehow that was like, that is for me the feeling that not only this house, but this, a sense of we are here for good. You know?
In those days, Mother was still personally selecting all the applicants for Oroville. And if one thought one wanted to be here, there was an application form to be filled in, and one had to send a photograph, and she would have a look mainly at the photograph. I don't think she really looked at what was written on the form. And then she would decide. And I was taken to present my form to Roger Arger. And looking at the form, he saw that I had, in my brief career, done some work with children. And he jumped on that. He said, Mother is pressing us to start a school in Oroville. She says it's essential. You can do that, he said. So from day one, I was involved in the education scene.
There weren't all these facilities that we have now. So life was very simple. Hardly anybody had a motorcycle, so we were all on bicycle or horse. I grew up with ponies, and I would ride to school on the pony. So we had a lot of contact with nature.